right now. Ribbonei Shalom, Hashem, my God, and God of my fathers, help me be able to study, teach, and practice your holy Torah for its own sake at all times, and keep the Torah at the forefront of my mind day and night. Chaver, let's open up our hearts to the deepest levels. If you want to close your eyes and have vision right now, think about yourself in the future. Think about yourself for the rest of tonight, the rest of today. Think about your kids. Feel free. The power of Torah study. Through the merit and power of Torah study, give me the strength to conquer and break my evil inclination and drive it out of myself. Help me rid myself of the foolish spirit that has taken hold of me because of the wrong I've done. Help me rid myself of the foolish spirit that has taken hold of me because of the wrong I've done. I think I just said that. I'll be able to get free by studying and keeping the Torah, which is entirely made up of your holy names. The power of the Torah will overcome any sway this foolishness may have over me. Just help me drive it out and remove it for myself in my life. Please, Ribbonei Shalom. You know the many thoughts that trouble me every single moment of the day and distract me from serving you properly. They're all caused by the foolish spirit that has taken hold of me because of the wrong I've done and all my sins and transgressions. My mind is in turmoil, and my good sense and intelligence has been severely impaired. Father in heaven, you are good to all and merciful to all your creatures. Forgive me and save me from destruction. Loving God, give me strength to conquer my own foolishness and drive it out of myself by studying and practicing your holy Torah. Baruch Hashem. That was the first little tefillah from Rav Nassan, one of many. Baruch Hashem, he brought to the world. And Baruch Hashem, Rav Chaim Kramer translated it and is really giving it to all languages, to all worlds. So thank you for Rav Chaim. Now we're going to continue. We're talking about the faith of our fathers. When a person is sincere and unquestioning, he can attain holy desire, which is even higher than wisdom. It is true that wisdom is higher than faith, but one must avoid sophistry and speculation. So if we have that simple faith, we'll attain that holy yearning, that longing that's higher than wisdom. But Rabbi Nachman points out that wisdom is higher than faith. L'chaim, l'chaim. So let's continue. Faith has the greatest power. When you follow the path of faith, you can attain a desire, which is even higher than wisdom. The goal is to attain this yearning of dveikus to Hashem, to get better each and every day, which is higher than the intellect, right? This yearning that we're all searching for. One who attains desire experiences tremendous longing and yearning for God. It's about this desire that we're thirsty for, that we're craving. The feeling becomes so intense that he does not know what to do and he cries out. Right? So the goal is to get to this point where we have this simple faith of Hashem. By having this simple faith of Hashem and understanding, like what Moshe said last night, that a water bottle comes from Hashem and that everything in this world comes from Hashem, we'll attain this desire, this yearning and longing to get closer to Him, this intense feeling where we'll just want to cry out in our own words. We'll cry out through the siddur, cry out through our learning, cry out through our everyday life to just get closer. Like Samson said, I think a week ago, that he doesn't want to be in Gan Eden. Obviously he does. I could be taking words out of his mouth and saying them incorrectly. but he just wants to be with Hashem. And we'll have this desire through the simple faith to just want to be with Hashem, to give him that hug, to talk to him face to face, to hold his hand through the narrow bridge. But there's a philosopher in man's heart. We all know that we're involved in some way, like what we spoke about last night, to philosophy. Even if if you think you're not, you're around it in some shape or form. This is the evil one who puts doubts and questions into the heart. We must overcome this philosopher and drive him out, strengthening ourselves in faith alone. Right? So the simple faith almost is like a nucleus. It's like a rock in one's heart, in one's body that can't be touched. Right? We shouldn't want it to be touched because it can be delicate. Right? The more we practice our simple faith, the more we work towards that simple faith, the harder that rock will become. Right? And the harder the rock, the less effective those questions, those doubts, those philosophers will even get to you. But we have to understand that we're vulnerable to some extent. So we have to be careful, right? Are we reading philosophy to help enable my Yiddishkeit, my connection to Hashem? Or am I curious in a negative way? Right? Am I trying to search for questions that I don't have? And that could lead you off a path that could break. It could help crack open your rock. And once you crack open that rock, that leads to doubt, that leads to sadness, that leads to depression, chas v'shalom. So Bezrat Hashem, we should all be searching for this yearning, this longing, this desire to get closer to Hashem. The more we have that, the stronger our nucleus will become. Right? Yimir Hashem, we can get to a point where there's no questions. Right? We just have this faith that everything is Mamash Hashem. Everything in our life will get to that place. So, Chavra, it's a very deep Torah from Rav Nachman. I want to hear your thoughts. Please feel free to unmute yourselves, and even after unmuting yourselves, to say a couple words. See, I'm being more specific with the requests. But we have to understand that there's these voices out there, negative voices, the evil one in the world as well. And we have to try as much as we can to filter that out and really just inhale positivity, inhale creativity, inhale positive people in Torah, in readings, Bezrat Hashem. L'chaim, l'chaim.
Forgive me for what I'm about to do, Chavra, but for me to properly explain what I would say would take well over a few hours. So I'm just going to give the places where you can find what I'm going to reference. So if anyone's interested, they should go see the Zohar, in which it states that Shalosh Shudos is the revelation of Rava de Ravin, which is the ultimate Ratzon of Hashem, in which a person is able to achieve, and not only achieve, but understand and has the ability to really come close to God during Shalosh Shudos, and therefore we can translate that into our regular lives because we're always chasing Shabbos. That being in regards to what Jack said, that which Ratzon and desire is higher than Chochmah, stated in the Zohar. In addition to that, everyone knows the story of Rav Zusha, and someone came to him during shul, and not came to him during shul, someone came to his shul and realized there was something off. Everyone knows the story, and this is not the place for me to tell the whole story. But if you want to know the whole story, you can either look it up or contact me personally. You know my number. It's in the recordings that were in the past. And here I'll say something that I didn't think I was going to say, but I will. Each and every one of us is ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim, meaning to say we're referred to as the nation of faith. And even if we ourselves don't believe, this is as the lashon of the Sfar Makdoshim say, even if we ourselves aren't believers, at least we're the sons of believers. And if not if our fathers weren't, then their fathers were. And if not them, then their fathers. I have to realize the kiviyachol, the yichus that we have to be sons of believers, it's not so pashut. You know what a schut is? To say, wow, my father was a believer. You know what a schut is? To say, my father in heaven is a believer. Paving.
Wow. Michael Schiff really took the title and just opened it up to so many levels. The faith of our fathers. Really, really, really. Thank you so much, Shifla. Always. Please feel free to unmute yourselves. Anyone else? Tobin, or Jonathan, Donala, Noam.
All right, I'll go. Tim's not going to hear this, so I mean, maybe I'll watch it afterwards. That's what I love about my friendship with Samson. We have divergent opinions, but there is an utmost respect. So I will dare say that I will fight for philosophy here. The Rav Soloveitchik actually saw as an attaining a religious experience. So Rav Lichtenstein, and there's something interesting. There was a really great essay called by David Schatz on remembering Marvin Fox, who was an academic, was a teacher in Ohio State University for many years, Orthodox guy, wrote a lot of great articles. And one thing he writes about is, Marvin Fox's position on philosophy. And he goes into this, talks about Marvin Fox that we should really throw philosophy into really varied areas of Torah, it's Tanakh or Gemara, and really a way of understanding. And really just one point illustration. Unfortunately, my Daf Yomi partner got married and then sort of fell off the face of the earth. But it's okay, Shalom Bayis is a priority. But the way we learned Gemara, he was a much better learner than I was, but he really could, knew how to understand the text and could translate it. But then my job was sometimes to sort of bring out a more philosophical understanding, a different perspective, a deeper understanding. And I think just on that illustration, there is something good to philosophy. One of the things that is problematic, I think, is that there is this heresy that comes with philosophy, this sort of negativity that is dangerous. And there is something to that. I'm not going to deny that. But just to, there is two ways of doing it. There is the simple faith way of doing it, as Jack mentioned, and I think that's fine. Mamash Zelosh, like that's what Charedim do, and there's what to say about that. I think Rav Hutner speaks a lot about it, and he sort of toes the line between like what Makshava is and what philosophy becomes. And I think that's a big thing. When people say like, oh, we're not called philosophy, we call it Makshava, but that itself is very similar. It's just calling it something else, giving a different name, and saying we're applying it just to Judaism. So I think we're just going to be honest about that. Makshava very much is similar. But that being said, I do think, and this is where Rav Lichtenstein really comes in, where he talks about, there is so much, Ezehu Chacham maybe call Adam, and the Rambam says that, whoever follow the truth, whoever says it, or listen to whoever says it, it really can come from anyone. And I think for myself and my own philosophical journey, I think because Makshava or philosophy isn't necessarily taught in your modern Orthodox day school, it's not really advocated. It's more just, all right, if you're like, struggling with your Gemara, it goes, all right, well, you could learn that. Or like even Yeshiva, it's like, okay, we do Gemara. And then like, it's like, there's thing on the side that like, oh, have one class of Makshava, or the struggling kid who needs philosophical answers to things. I think that's really the problem. Like if it becomes a sense of like, I need answers to things, I think that's where it's like, it's seen as like, oh, okay, it's not the best thing, but if you want like to learn the cosmological argument and know like why God exists. I think that really is where there's a stumbling block. So in this long tangential conclusion, what I think is that there is a valid side to the simple faith argument, and I think that's fine. But what I do think is problematic is when there is a lot of heresy hunting and claim things are dangerous without learning it properly. So again, always be careful what you learn, because everything can be dangerous. The more you read, the more skeptical you become inherently. But I do think if we had initially, and we sort of teach from a younger age that you can learn things, just as you can read Tolkien or Dostoevsky or Hemingway and be like, okay, this is great. So too, and learn things from that. So too, you can read Kant, Hume, and whoever, Aristotle, and feel like you're getting a lot, and really apply that to your religious experience and like spiritualize the physical.
It's beautiful, John. Your mamish on fire. Like that's why there's so many ways. I mean, this is just a platform to hear each other's ideas, right? There's millions, gazillions of ways to connect to Hashem. If someone can connect to Hashem truly through philosophy, Gewalt, right? Or even part of his faith is from philosophy, Gewalt, right? There's not just one way. It's just presenting the side of Rabbeinu. Awesome. Exactly. So thank you, John, for sharing. Anyone else have anything to share? Toby, Noam, Donala, please feel free. If not, we can conclude. Baruch Hashem. So I wish you guys nothing but the best. Mirz Hashem, we could look back at this recording, do Chazara on the Torah, but also do Chazara on the Tefillah that we went over, that we cried our hearts with. I mean, it was just, what a night. Thank you guys so much. Whether you're in IDC, grinding through finals, getting ready for the summer, like John is, whether you're in Florida, getting ready for camp, getting ready to bring the Chayvas lifestyle, the fire, the Eish Kodesh to the camp, Bezrat Hashem, or whether you're just guarding borders, more than guarding borders, really just protecting Am Yisrael on the deepest level, like Tobin is. And let me tell all the listeners, right? If it's 0, if it's 1, if it's 8, all the listeners, Tobin is one of the few soldiers that I talk to. Whenever I ask him, like, how's it going? He mamish is just simcha tamid. Simcha tamid, and that lights me up. That gives me tremendous chizuk. So, Tobin, thank you for just really helping me every single time I see you. Whenever, if I'm in a bad mood or something's going on. Exactly. Bosco is that listener. But Tobin always gives me that energy, gives me that positivity, and it's really, truly incredible. So thank you to him. Thank you for the rest of the soldiers that are just protecting us each and every day. Be well, guys. Have a great night.